Thank you, Deputy. Just a few quick questions for myself. Sorry.
Keegan and Mr. Dillon's particularly for 1 or 2 points I put to them.
Very good. I was just going to ask a few questions myself, but I leave it till afterwards.
Thank you, Deputy. 40,000 accountants, Deputy, is an awful lot of people. Can I tell you a bit about the profession? First of all, mostly it's young people. More than 2/3 of the accountants in this country are under 45 years of age. They're people with young families, they're people with big mortgages, they're people that are struggling, they've been affected by the downturn just as much as anybody else. Most of the accountants in this country, Deputy, are working in industry. They're the guys that operate the PAYE and the payroll. They're the guys that do the VAT returns. They're the guys that help out their own businesses, keeping compliant, making sure the business is on the straight and narrow. There's another coterie of them, you mentioned them yourself already. They're the small accountants in the provincial towns who are struggling to keep their business, get a reasonable, decent level of income, do their best. It's tough to hear respected elected representatives talk about groups like that being on the fiddle. It really is, because they contribute so much to compliance in this country. Deputy, it's an extraordinary fact that 91% of people in this country complied with the local property tax. Revenue's own official figures are that over 88% of businesses comply and pay their taxes all the time within 1 month of the due date. There is an enormous effort made by my profession to make sure that Ireland's finances are on the straight and narrow. And of all the government agencies and of all the things that we've had legitimate concern to be bothered about, Deputy, since the downturn, many government agencies have been criticised. The Office of the Revenue Commissioners has not. And that is partly or largely because more than 90% of companies rely on accountants to manage their compliance affairs. More than 70% of the self-employed rely on accountants to help them with their requirements. Now, who's going to pay for all of that if it's not business? Who's going to pay if we start charging companies 15% or 20% instead of 12.5%? They have less money to pay the accountants that service them, to pay their suppliers, to pay their customers. It's a matter of balance, Deputy. I respect your view of the balance of how much the corporate sector should contribute and how much the private sector should contribute, and I understand it and I respect it fully. I suppose our perspective is that it seems to us, based on the experience of the last several years, that if the corporate sector is doing well, more people have more money, whether it's through employment or through fees or whatever it happens to be, and people, by and large, have a better standard of life. And that's why we're making the kind of submissions we're making. And that is why we're saying, look, we should really send out clear signals that, we respect business as the engine which will hopefully pull us out of this recession, which is affecting us all. And if that can happen, we need to support it happening by giving business a bit of clarity, saying to them, look, this is how it's going to be in the long run. And that, sir, is what's informing the comments in our submission.